Hi everyone, welcome to another kids art class. Today we're going to be drawing Darwin from the amazing world of Gumball. So without further ado, let's get started. Now with Darwin, we start off with kind of like an oval and then a circle that leads into like a square with round edges, and then we just bring out the side of it to make his cheeks. Go to the other side and round out that square with rounded edges to meet his other side, the other side of his cheeks, and bring them together at the bottom. Now we're drawing with pencil, but later on we will go over the pencil with markers, but we're drawing with pencil so that when we make a mistake we can easily erase it. If we draw with markers and we make a mistake, then you can't erase the marker. So we're going to be drawing with pencil, and then we're going to go over it with markers and then color. So let's erase the excess pencils. Correct any line that we need to correct. And then at the side now, the left side of Darwin's face, because you have to remember Darwin is a fish, we're going to put his fins, which is one of the cool parts about this cartoon, is that his brother is a cat and he's a fish, and he's adopted. Actually, Darwin's adopted by Gumball's family. So it's kind of like a nice way to teach tolerance, I guess, that a fish and a cat are brothers. So anyway, he has a fin, and we just put the two little lines to make the fin official. And now we're going to start on his eyes, which are like two elongated circles standing up, basically. So we shape out the eyes like two stretched circles. And then we do the other eye, which is right next to it. Back in here, make sure I get the shape of the eye correctly. Erase any additional pencils that I don't need. That's why it's so good to just draw with pencils first, because you get to make all the mistakes you need to make to get it correct, and then once you have it correct, you can move on. So we're going to move on to his eyebrows. They're like two little small worms above the eyes, kind of like curved with the shape of the eye. Two little black caterpillars, if you will. And you color them in. And here we're going to make his cheeks, because he's going to be smiling in this picture, so his cheeks are going to kind of form a little bit of a bubble. So we're going to make his little cheeks as he's smiling, and then put a little downward arch to connect the cheeks. And there we have Darwin smiling. Then we put his eyelashes, 3 on each side, and then we're going to put his pupils, which are the same shape as his eyes, but only smaller inside. And we can color those because those are black. And we do the same thing with the other eye. It's the same shape as the eye itself, but only smaller, and it's inside the eye. So we get that shape, and then we color it so that we remember that it's black. I'm just going over these lines here to make sure that I can see them clearly, so when I go over them with the marker, I'm able to trace them exactly. Now we're going to start with his feet, or since he's a fish, it's his tail. But we'll call them feet for now because they have socks on them. So there's just 3 lines to the side, and one going down the middle, and then 2 loops. We'll start with the left loop that goes around and comes up to meet the middle line, and the other loop that goes around comes up to meet the middle line. And we'll draw his socks or his shoes. 2 lines in the front, circles right next to each other in the middle line, and then 2 lines that are on top of the circles, slanted upward. See that? And now his hands, which are basically just like 2, I don't know, 2 teardrops hanging down. And then that little line there is for the shadow. These are like for the shadow under his head. There's another teardrop hanging down for his hand. And just like that, we have Darwin. His hand is a little big here, so I'm just gonna make it a little smaller. Once again, attributing to doing it with pencil first, so that you can make all the mistakes you need, because you can erase them because they're pencil and not permanent marker. So now that we're done with the pencil drawing of Darwin, we're going to go in with the permanent marker because we know all the lines where they need to be. So all we have to do now is trace them. We'll start with his eyebrows. This is the easy part because you've done the hard part. You've done the drawing, and now you know where all the lines are. Now you're just making the drawing look more awesome by blackening all the lines with a marker. Or you can use a color pencil if you want, a black color pencil. That works too, or even a black crayon, whichever works, best for you, or whichever you have on hand at the time. But for me, I'm going to use a marker because the marker is my medium of choice. A medium is basically the art tool that you're using to do something. So if anybody says, what art medium do you use? It's like saying, well, what art tool are you using? Are you using crayons? Are you using color pencils? Are you using markers? Those are mediums. We're going to blacken his eye here. Always make sure to be very careful when you're tracing the lines so that you don't go off the line. So it's always very important for you to be patient when you're tracing the lines so that you get the lines exact, because it is the permanent marker. So if you kind of swerve off the lines in any way, there's no way to really erase it. You basically have to draw it over. So you have to make sure that all the lines that you have are on the pencil. So it helps to just be careful and to take your time and do it slowly so that you don't mess up. With art, patience is definitely a virtue. That basically means it helps to take your time. Now for the sake of the video, I've taped the paper down to the desk so it's not moving all around, so you have a better idea of how to draw the picture. But when you're drawing, the paper doesn't have to stay in one place. You can just move it around in order to get a better position to do your tracing, or what they call inking in the comic book industry. This is called inking in the comic book industry. There's one person who draws with the pencil, and then there's one person who just what they call inks over the pencil. So basically you're inking over the pencil because you're using marker ink over the pencil. So you don't have to leave the paper in one spot when you're doing a drawing. You can turn it around so that you get a better position in order to achieve a nice straight exact line to the pencil that you're tracing. Working on the shoes now. Socks. I have no idea what those are. And then, as mentioned before, those are the shadows under his face. So we're just gonna blacken those. And now that we've done the inking, we're gonna erase the additional pencils that may be hanging around from our sketching. So we're gonna take our pencil, and if there are any additional pencils hanging around that kind of peeking through the marker, just kind of erase those. It makes the drawing much cleaner looking and much better for photocopying in case you want to photocopy it to hand out to your friends or your family or even for yourself. And even if you don't want to photocopy it, if you just want to color it like I'm going to do, which is just color the copy you have, it definitely makes it better that you don't have pencil smudges on the drawing, because they're going to make the drawing look really kind of like dirty. So you get rid of them. And now that we have all of that taken care of, we're going to go in with the coloring, which is a fun part. Now Darwin has highlights on his cheeks and actually on his head. I think he's the only character in the Amazing World of Gumball that has these highlights, and I think it's because he's a fish. He's supposed to appear wet, so they put these little highlights on him. But I think they add to his cuteness. And what a highlight is something that is lighter than the rest of a picture. So I'm putting a highlight on like the back of his head because that's like the lightest part of the picture. Hence the term highlight. So everything else around it is going to be darker than the highlight. So there are highlights on his cheeks, and there's highlight on the back of his head. We're going to do the highlights with a peach colored color pencil, but you can use a crayon if you want. But I'm going to do mine with a color pencil, and it's kind of like an oval shaped highlight in the back of his head. Not up against the line, slightly away from the line, and there are two in those little circle C's and backward C cheeks of his, and they fit perfectly in there. But they don't touch the C's. They just kind of like float in the middle of the C's. And then now I'm going to go in with his skin tone, which is like a brownish orange. Darwin is like a brownish orange. think he's a goldfish. Right? Is he a goldfish? Does anybody know? Can you please comment below and let me know if Darwin is a goldfish or what kind of fish he is? I think he might be a goldfish. Would love to see how your version of this came out. So if you're drawing along with me, I would love to see what it looks like. So if you guys can go to my Reddit community, which is Draw Ninja KC Submission, you can upload your drawing onto the community, and I'll be able to see it and maybe give you pointers and also give you a shout out on an upcoming video on my channel. So wouldn't that be cool if you got a shout out for your drawing? So definitely go to Reddit, look for Draw Ninja KC, upload your drawing, and I'll give you a shout out. I'll try my best to give everyone a shout out, but I'm not sure, depending on how many submissions I get. I don't know if I'll be able to shout everybody out, but there will be a video where I can critique and go over artwork and show people the awesome artwork that you guys do. So the link to the artist community on Reddit is in the description below. So right now I'm just going over the rest of the area that I'm coloring with his skin tone, which is this orangey brown. Trying to color all the white areas that may be out there. I think this marker is kind of drying up a little bit, so I'm taking my time to make sure that all the areas are colored, so there's no white area peeking through. You always want to try your best to make sure that there's no white areas peeking through, even around the highlights on his cheeks and the highlights of the back of his head. You want to be careful and color around those, but also not to leave any white spaces so that the drawing looks complete. So I'm taking my time, being patient, and that is the best thing you can do when you're doing a drawing, is to be patient. Because with patience, you can color the entire area without leaving any white spaces. Just color piece by piece, line by line, and try not to do the whole circle, chaotic, all over the place coloring, but it's best to just kind of pick an area and then color that little area. Make sure it's fully colored and then move on to the next area, which is how I'm doing this right here. Just kind of coloring every area a little bit at a time. Now we're going to do his hands, and now his legs. Again, taking your time in order to make sure that you're getting the entire area that you're supposed to get without leaving any like little white parts peeking through. This marker is definitely struggling. It's drying up a little bit, but I think I can make it. I think I can make it with all the entire area without it running out. After doing his skin, I think our next job is to get his socks, which are green, like this kind of light green. Get his socks done. In the same way we got the skin done, we try to color a little area at a time. Color around the circles. The circles stay white because his socks are green. It's got these little white circles on the socks. Everything else stays white except for the middle of the socks, which is what I'm coloring it in green right now. But everything else could be the white of the paper. With Darwin, this is the only time you leave white spaces. If the white space is the paper and it's part of what he looks like. There's our boy Darwin, our adopted boy Darwin. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new, please don't forget to like and subscribe so that I can bring you these really cool drawing tutorials. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you next time.